What is good, everyone? This is your host, Deanna Kemple with Label Free Podcast. To live your best life, you must live label free. Super excited. We have a mental health trailblazer, founder of the Global Institute of Children's Mental Health and media expert who is changing the way we view and treat children's mental health. Forbes magazine called her a thought leader in children's mental health. Her work has helped thousands reverse the most challenging conditions: ADHD, anxiety, mood, Lyme, and pandas. I don't know if I said that right. Using proven holistic therapies. She is featured on dozens of media outlets. Please welcome Dr. Roseann.
Well, I'm so excited to have this conversation with you because you're a passionate person like myself.
Yes, very, very, very. I think without passion, like life is just so boring. You have
so drab.
You have to believe in what you believe in. You know, you got to put your money where your mouth is.
Absolutely. Right. Yeah. As my dad says, like, it's easy with the mouth, right? You got to like be the person, you got to have the action behind it. Right.
Got to back it up. So can you introduce yourself, Dr. Roseann, and tell the audience a little bit about your background?
Some people call me Dr. Roseann. Some people call me Dr. Ro. And, you know, I'm this woman on a mission to change the way we view and treat children's mental health, because mental health across the globe is terrible. And of course, the pandemic is a major stressor on that. But this has been going on before the pandemic. And it's why in 2020, January of 2020, I founded the Global Institute of Children's Mental Health, because I want to teach parents that there's so much they can do. We are saying to people that there are limits on what you can do in improving symptoms, and even sometimes reversing mental health symptoms. And we're saying, hey, you only have talk therapy, you only have medication, that's it. I'm here to tell you, absolutely no way. I have this great book called It's Going to Be Okay, and it talks about the 8 pillars of mental health, 40 pages of research citations. So I want people to trust that there are science-backed ways to change our thinking, change our action, make people feel happy. Because if you don't have mental health, you don't really have anything.
Yeah, no. I think this is a very important subject right now. And I know when we had our intro call, we talked a little bit about this, and I love your approach. I have 0 prescriptions. I don't believe in pill popping. If I had children, God willing, I'm still hopeful that one day I would not be turning straight to a prescription. I would be working on other ways to help them, whatever those issues might be. Hopefully that would never happen, but it's the world we live in. And I think that if we were taught at a younger age how to deal with some of our emotional stresses, that maybe it wouldn't cause so much mental health issues now, because I feel like that's where it starts.
Oh, it definitely does. And I don't want anybody to feel ashamed if they're on a medication. What I want you to do is I want to open up your mind to other possibilities, because there are so many evidence-based approaches. It's so funny. People come to me, and, I work with people in my center and virtually, and they're always so distrustful of natural, safe therapies that have tons of research behind it, but then they're totally cool with taking a medication that has like a massive, side effect. Last week, my little guy, John Carlos, one of those like 57-year-olds in a 10-year-old's body. And he just says these things that come out of his mouth. It's like he's an old man. He's so wise. And there was just a series of commercials, you know what I'm going to say, right? Yeah. So there was a series of commercials advertising all different types of pharma in about a 10-minute moment. And the last one was like, well, if you take this, you could have cancer, you can have this, you can have that. And he turned to me and he literally was like, Mom, why would somebody take this?
Yeah.
When, it was something related to your skin. And he's like, well, you could change your diet and your skin would improve. Why would you risk cancer by improving your skin? And I was like, John Carlo, I wish we had this on video right now.
Right. Yeah.
But, we have this belief that there's a pill and that something's going to fix it. You just said it, that society has a belief there's a quick fix. Yeah. And when it comes to health, physical and mental health, it's about making changes, right? And it all starts it gets started at any point. You could be 81 but I would love to see us right out of the gate supporting kids physically and mentally so that we have a better world. We have a world where people are happy and
Yeah.
friendly and don't write awful things on your Facebook, you know,
Just block those people.
like those people. But like, how about a world where people go out of their way to be kind and nice instead of to go out of their way to, say something nasty to you?
I look at people like that, and we'll get back on subject, but people like that are just very unhappy. You know,
Very
hurt
unhappy.
hurt people, and I know when I was hurting a long time ago, I would lash out, and it took a while for me to realize, like, wait a second, why am I reacting to this? And I'm reacting to this because I'm upset inside. And once I start dealing with that pain and that whatever that trauma was that I've gone through, and I just kind of confronted it, I stopped have wanting to lash out because it no longer felt good, you know. Because I think that when people lash out at you, they're like it's in a moment of like, oh, it's a release, you know. But then they still feel bad because you haven't dealt with what's really wrong.
Right. And they might not even know what's really
Right.
wrong,
Exactly.
right? Because our subconscious is what's driving the bus. And, when we teach people to regulate their nervous system through things like breath work and meditation and yoga, we're able to be our best selves because our nervous system is less reactive to irritants and whatnot. And hello, when we do these things with our kids as parents, we show up as better, and hopefully we break these cycles that happen within families, right? Like where you had a really, let's say, verbally abusive parent and you don't really know how to parent, so maybe you're not abusive, but maybe you're a negative talker to your kids,
Yeah.
and they don't really, people don't understand how unbelievably amazing it is to talk to kids in a very positive way, to help them to see their strengths, and to always, frame things like, of course you're going to get that job. Of course you're going to get that straight A, instead of, you're not going to get that.
Yeah.
You're not doing all the work for it. But if you say, of course you're going to do that work, let's work out a plan to, figure out how you're going to get there. It's just those subtle tweaks in how we talk to kids. It just creates a different sense of who they are. They're able to be way more resilient in life because they believe in themselves. They're confident.
Yeah, absolutely. I had both. So my father was really abusive, but my mother, she would always like, write the notes in the lunch, and you always just give us like words of encouragement and wisdom. So, but I mean, I experienced, the abuse part, but I also had that part. I mean, and then my dad took off and left us, and then we were no longer having to deal with that anymore. But it is very powerful to reinforce. I mean, even as adults, we have to continue to surround ourselves in positivity. I mean, I read affirmations every day, and I think that's just something that has to be carried forward throughout your life. But I'd love to talk a little bit more about. So you actually help parents with children that have like ADHD and anxiety
Yes.
and stuff. And I have some family members that supposedly suffer from anxiety, and they've gone directly to smoking a lot of marijuana. Like, listen, I don't mind smoking pot every once in a while. I do, no big deal. But I feel like one's too much, And then how does that, when you're smoking it too much, that can also cause more anxiety. So,
Yeah.
and that's supposed to be a natural, fix for a lot of
Yeah.
ailments. So, how do you go about helping parents with that?
Well, so first of all, so let's talk about cannabis use, right? So I'm not opposed to cannabis use, particularly for chronic pain, but when we're doing anything too much, right? That's even something that's healthy, like exercise or eating, I don't know, salads, 20 salads a day. Eventually, too much of anything that's even good, you need moderation, you need
Right.
balance, right? You need
Sure.
balance and mixing things up. So when I get a lot of kids, young adults who are smoking pot a lot, and more, first of all, there's a psychedelic component, right?
Yeah.
So there's a difference between CBD, which I'm way more pro on CBD,
Yeah.
because CBD has the same anti-inflammatory components.
Yeah.
And when we talk about root causes of mental health, we only talk about, because of pharma, we only talk about genetics and neurotransmitters, when there's far greater causes of mental health, including chronic stress and inflammation. These are much more common sources of mental health problems. I mean, every mental health problem is more likely to result from chronic stress and inflammation than any other thing, and past trauma, so cannabis use and an excessive works against you, right? So from a simple brain perspective, excessive cannabis use does negatively impact brain functioning in different ways. So it can actually affect the structures. When it comes to brain waves, it creates too many what's called alpha waves, which is actually a happy brain wave. But once it gets more than, I'm going to be nerdy here, one standard deviation outside the norm, once you have just too much of it, it actually will start causing you to be even more anxious and depressed when you're not high, because you are high on a psychedelic, right? This does not happen with CBD. So, and the other part of this is that there's a difference between somebody who smokes it, 2 to 7 times in a week, and between somebody who smokes it every hour on the hour. Because I have people who do that, who smoke it all day long. This is not, you're not thinking clearly.
Yep.
It usurps your motivation. It affects your eating. Right. There's a lot of other components of it. And let's get to the real root cause. That is another mask. If you're smoking it that much, you're not really getting to your issues.
Right. For sure. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I totally agree with that. So I come from my whole family, we really believe in like the holistic approach. We really do not believe, and I'm lucky in that regard because I feel like it's a rarity to not be on some kind of prescription these days.
Rare.
So I actually, I'll tell you a quick story. I know you have some questions here, and I want to hear more about what you do and all the things that you're into. I went to the doctor last year, and he told me that I had high blood pressure, I think it was, or high cholesterol, and he wanted to put me on a medication right away. I said, I'm not taking that.
Yeah.
So I just and I don't even know what it was. Maybe I was a little stressed, or maybe I had been eating like too little fatty foods. I mean, I never really get out of shape. I'm pretty consistent with my diet and my training, so it may have just been a bad time. But I went back this year, and everything was completely normal. Like I'm as strong as an ox, and I was just like, yeah, you're not putting me on any medication. No, it's not happening.
What he should have advised you was to make some lifestyle changes, including your diet, right? Because what you eat directly affects, high blood pressure, right? Is it high cholesterol you had, or high blood?
I think it's high cholesterol. Yeah.
So high cholesterol. So first of all, the kind of cholesterol you have, it affects your platelets and the size of your platelets. So if the smaller your platelets, if you have small to mid-size, they're going to clog your arteries.
Okay.
But large size platelets are not going to clog your arteries. But dietary changes will change the quality of your platelets so that, when your heart pumps, it pushes it out. So cholesterol, and there's genetic components in cholesterol. Some people I know are super fit, and their cholesterol is high, and those are all factors. But the doctor should always recommend lifestyle changes and then retesting you. And that's super important. So you must have made some changes.
Yeah.
And maybe because you were home and you're eating healthier in this past year, maybe that had a factor in it.
I don't know. All I know is I was just like, I'm not going on any medication because I can fix that. I know I can.
And some medications are important. You're a diabetic, you need insulin. You know what I mean? You have a thyroid problem, you need thyroid medication. Right. Your thyroid, your brain's not going to work. Your body's not going to work. So, we just need to give people wraparound support, and integrative means we're combining the best of what we know in Eastern and Western.
I love it. So have you always been very much into mental health for children? That's something okay.
Yeah. So I've always been holistic. I'm the daughter of Italian immigrants. So food was medicine. And then when I was 5, my mom's friend asked me what I wanted to be when I grew up. And I said a psychiatrist, which just came out of me. Like I didn't even know what that was. And then once I realized that was somebody who primarily did medication, I decided I wanted it to be more focused on actually giving support and talking and different things. And that's why I wanted to be a psychologist. And so I went into, an undergraduate program and had an opportunity to work with at-risk kids, and found that just a little bit of intervention with kids surprised me as a 20-year-old that I could have such a dramatic impact on their life. And I said, I really want to work with kids. And plus, kids are so fun.
Yeah.
And they also have no idea that they can't get better. They
Right.
don't have the same hangups that adults do.
Right.
Like, they're like, of course I can do that. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
exactly.
And so I just love that. And I mean kids, I mean even young adults, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So young adults, we start to, the shame starts to come into things, and it starts to impact what they believe. But the younger the kid, the more they see the possibilities and everything. It's pretty amazing how easily we can change their behavior, mold them, and create this positive thing. We can really help kids to be successful in multiple areas in their life earlier on.
What is good, everyone? This is your host, Deanna Kemple of Label Free Podcast. Live your best life. You must live label free. Ho, 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 ladies. The holidays came early, not only for you, but for your man here at Manscaped, the leading men's hygiene brand. Manscaped just launched new products that your man will actually use, including their all-new ultra premium body wash and a 2-in-1 shampoo and conditioner. Also, this awesome refined cologne. It smells so sexy. My man loves it. I love him wearing it, especially after he's all clean shaven, using the lawnmower 4.0 and trimming those nasty nose hairs and those ear hairs. You know what I'm saying, ladies? It's time to give the man in your life the gift of beautiful skin, hair, and balls this holiday season. Go to manscaped.com and use the code LABELFREE20 for 20% off and free shipping. That's right, ladies, 20% off and free shipping with the code LABELFREE20 at manscaped.com. Do you have any advice for parents that, I'm sure I know I have lots of parents that listen, that may, if they have children, things to look out for in ways to maybe like start helping them holistically or at home so that they not to just turn quick right away to putting them on a prescription?
Yeah. Well, I have this book called It's Gonna Be Okay, and I dive deep into these 8 pillars of mental health. And I also like to call them the 8 pillars of hope and healing. And they're really about these foundational components that any parent can do. You can have a clinical issue like ADHD or OCD, but you also could be just a kid who's struggling right now in the pandemic. And parents are just not aware of the power they have and that how many easy little things they can do. So my best advice is really, if you think your kid is struggling, they probably are.
Yeah.
And you don't need a clinical diagnosis to be struggling. They could just be in a stress state due to the world right now, like virtual learning. Who the heck likes that? Right? Not having enough physical exercise, not having enough structure. How about not enough human contact? Right. So I think that, what are signs you need to be worried about? Right. So whether again it's a clinical issue or not a clinical issue, kids show their behaviors on a continuum from being externalizers to internalizers. And so internalizers are exactly what you think of in the movie if a kid is anxious or depressed or anything.
Right.
They're sad, they're withdrawn, they might be a little tearful, they're going to pull back a little bit. You'll see a change in their behavior in that way, and they hold things in, right? Very, very sensitive kind of behaviors. And then your externalizers are your angry kids, your kids that are threatening. Maybe they are being physical, right? They're violent in their talk. They're so negative, right? Like no matter what you say, it's like, oh my God, it's like this kid bit my head off, or lots of tantrums. And then everywhere in between can still be it. But kids show their difficulties mostly with physical issues.
Yeah.
So you'll see sleep problems, headaches, tummy aches, really, really common, gastrointestinal distress, not unlike adults.
Right. Yeah.
And so if you see these things, parents make a big mistake. They go, what are you sad about? What's bothering you? Kids don't even sometimes have the words. Like a 15-year-old could be a straight A student and might not be able to articulate it to you.
Right. Yeah.
or want to. So, what is the best thing to do is, I talk a lot in my book about, stress management and just simple hacks to get in there. But, kids need connection, right? And I talk a lot about how to talk to kids, when you think they have a mental health issue. And it all starts with connection and spending time with them, because they're not going to just be like, oh, yeah, I feel like I'm a little depressed and I want to go see a therapist.
Well, right. If you have a child like that, then they're really tuned in.
Super tuned in, yeah, like my kids, we do a lot of work on body sensations and understanding what their body is telling them. So like if I'm worried that my kid is anxious, great example, first day back to school this year, one child is homeschooled, another goes to very alternative small school. And I could see that my Giancarlo, my 57-year-old and a 10-year-old's body, was anxious. And I said to him, what's going on? And he said, Mommy, I'm feeling very anxious, right? And he
Wow.
yeah, oh, he was 9 then, but he's been used to it, right?
Yeah.
So I said, where do you feel it in your body?
Yeah.
And he thought about it and he said, I kind of feel it all over. And I said, okay, let's do some breathing. Now, this wasn't anything new to him because
Right.
he's done the work.
Right.
So I said, do you feel better? And he said, yeah. And then I said, is there one thing that comes into your mind when you're feeling this worry? And he said, I'm real worried that these new kids aren't going to wear their mask, And I said, okay, all right. So I said, do we have a solution for this, right?
Yeah.
And he was like, well, I could ask them to put their mask on. I said, you can also ask your teacher and she can help you out. But
Yeah.
I said, these are new kids. The teacher's going to have them follow the rules. This is new for you all. It's going to be okay.
Yeah.
And I reassured him. I also reassured him that he had a voice, and that he could speak up, which he knows that. And then I was like, well, how does your body feel now? And he was like, I don't feel really anxious that much. It's like a 1, Mommy. So it's the dialogue about it,
Yeah.
and it's not going to happen overnight. When you the 4 C's of conversing about mental health is connect, comfort, communicate, and conscientiousness. And connection, it's through those connection points, right? And then comforting when they are communicating, and then being conscientious about your kids. Like I could tell my kid, he practically was like wringing his hands. He was so obvious. I didn't ignore it, and I took a minute, a quiet moment, to process out with him what was going on. Because when we ignore these signs and we don't comfort them and connect and teach them about it, it's going to bubble up some other way.
For sure. Do you,
Oh,
do you, so, and that brings me, I have another question. Do you think that parents ignore it because they don't know how to handle it, or because they're uncomfortable on how to communicate about the reality that they want, that it's anxiety or it's something like that? Because I feel like that is probably more common than not.
I think parents are not ignoring it. I think parents are not connecting the physical signs to the mental health signs, number one. I think they don't realize how much our kids, like when their sleep is disrupted, or they're having irritable bowel, whatever the heck is
Right.
going on with these
Right.
kids. I had cyclical vomiters that are straight A students, and the parents never think that they're stressed, and they take them to every gastroenterologist and they try to figure out what's going on. And it's stress. I mean, it happens all the time, it happens with adults. But I think they don't know how to communicate. So they think like, oh, my kid's a straight A student, he's 17. If I
Right.
asked him if he's depressed, he's going to say, yeah, Mommy, I'm depressed.
Right.
That's so rare. You've had to have that conversation like a lot about connect. And for me, what I teach adults and parents about is how to teach your kids their body's alert signals. Like adults don't like to pay attention what their body tell us, right?
Right.
Like your chest pain, right? When I get stressed, I feel it in my chest. If all of a sudden I feel chest tightening, I'm like, what's going on here?
Sure.
And stress doesn't have to be bad stress. It can be
No.
good stress,
Yeah,
right?
you need to have some stress in your life, or else what you'd be like just
Yeah,
hopping around all day long, not getting anything done.
exactly.
You have to be motivated.
Right. But you could be doing super fun, exciting things. Like I'm on this book tour, right? I can't even tell you how many podcasts, how many things I've done today. I've been on live, on TV today. I've done this, I've done that. It's fun.
Yeah,
But your body knows no difference between that and if you had an awful day. It's still stress. So you've
yes,
got to mitigate it and teach your nervous system how to regulate. And I think that's surprising to parents when they're like, why would my kid be anxious or
yeah,
sad but they are. And these externalizers get help, internalizers don't.
yeah.
And internalizers, until they crash and burn, they're ignored. And you can't live under chronic stress, chronic anxiety, chronic
No.
OCD. You can't.
But yeah, that's what causes so much disease and sickness, and it's not good for you. Yeah, I'm an externalizer. I get like, so if I get angry, I'm blah, I let it out, then I'm good.
Yeah.
Before I told you it's been back to back today, so I just had to lay down for a few minutes because for you, I don't even like if you've been doing this all day, it's a little emotionally draining.
Yes.
And even though it's fun, it is fun. Don't get me wrong, but you still have to take a minute. For me, I had to lay down, just kind of just decompress and get my energy back. But yeah, so before we start wrapping things up, I think we could talk for hours. We'll have to have you back and hear some more stuff from
Would
you.
love to.
Yeah, because you are awesome, and I love everything that you're doing, and keep doing it. You're probably, I don't know, in your circuit, you're very well received because people are so into the pills, the pharmaceuticals, because the holistic gets, it's amazing to me where it's natural. It's
Yeah.
natural. This is not man. It's not man-made. Manufactured with all this crap in it. It's natural. This is much better for you than this. And the
Well,
way
and here's the deal. I have 40 pages of research citations in my book because I want people to know that these are science-backed methods. They're just not hearing about it.
because it
You
doesn't make
know,
money.
Yeah, I mean, hello, right? And these are like, 80 to 85% of the things in my books are just really easy things to integrate.
Yeah,
You have to really intently integrate them.
yeah,
You have to say, like, I'm not having Cheetos. I always joke the Cheetos Corporation is going to come after me, but you can't expect your brain to feel good. Like I had a podcast host after actually stop me and say, can I talk to you? He's like, I eat McDonald's or or Burger King every day. And
oh god, it's
I'm
disgusting.
on anxiety medication. I'm really fit. But what do you think about that? And I was like, you're literally putting poison in your body. Like, why don't you try 30 days without it and see if you're less anxious? And the reason why it was important to him is he was struggling in his relationships with people. The anxiety still affected his marriage. Can be abrasive at times. So, that's and why is that important? This is not Dr. Rowe just spouting this out. An anti-inflammatory diet is proven
Yeah,
to reduce anxiety, depression, and unfocusedness.
yeah,
Hello.
yeah.
So why don't you just start there? It's not going to kill you.
No,
You might
exactly.
not, you might actually enjoy the stuff you're eating.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I'm all about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I follow a pretty strict diet because I'm a bodybuilder, and so I'm all about that. Where can people find you? How can they
Yeah.
support you?
Yeah, thank you. So I'm Dr. Roseann everywhere. So for people listening, it's DrRoseann, no E at the end. And it's drroseann.com. I'm Dr. Roseann on TikTok, Instagram.
Ooh, you got a TikTok. Ooh, I'm
Yeah,
gonna check that out.
I'm saucy. And YouTube, you can find me that. In my book, It's Gonna Be Okay. For people that want to buy my book, you can go right to Amazon, but you can go to It's Gonna Be Okay. You can order through there on Amazon. And when people buy the book and then enter their order number from Amazon, they get 4 free gifts.
Oh,
So I
cool.
have a video series for me about improving your child's mental health right now, and a bunch of really great downloads to help create some easy hacks that people can create change. And you know, I'm all about building these successful kids, and that means their inner confidence. And parents have so much power. They're doing so many things that feels like they're spinning their wheels. I
Yeah.
want them to do these things and create change and actually do things that have your kids being happy, you know, and
Right.
your family being happy. So that's what I'm all about. I'm, you know, mental health, like I said, if you don't have mental health, you don't have anything. So it's really important for
Yeah.
all of us to you know, dig deep and make some changes that, you know, help our mental health.
I love it. Well, congratulations on all your success and everything you're doing. Keep spreading your message. I think that it's just amazing. Thank you for your time and being a guest today on my show. We'll have to have you back after you come out with your next 100 books, because girl, you are on fire. I love it.
Awesome.
Any
Well,
last
thank
words?
you.
Any last words of wisdom or advice you want to share with the audience?
Yeah, just take 10 minutes every day for yourself, whether it's breath work, yoga, gratitude journaling, prayer, positive affirmations. That's all you need is 10 minutes a day to regulate your nervous system. You just got to do it. And you're going to be so much better as a parent, as a friend, as an employee, as a partner in life. And, you know, when we take care of ourselves as parents, our kids get to feel that difference from you.
Yeah.
They get to see that difference from you, and you're role modeling it. It's just so, so important. And, you know, nobody should ever put themselves on the bottom of their list.
Yeah, I love it. I totally agree with that. I'm all about, like, if I don't take care of me, I can't take care of anybody else. You know,
No,
that's just the way it works, and people don't get that. But
yeah.
thanks
It's hard
again.
to feel joy when you don't take care of yourself.
What's that?
It's hard to feel joy when you don't take care of yourself. You just
Exactly.
not gonna, you
Exactly.
know,
It's like a domino effect. Like
yeah,
everything just starts falling apart. Like,
totally.
Dr. Rowe, thank you so much. You
Thank
guys,
you
this
so
is your
much.
this is your host, Deanna Kemple with Label Free Podcast. Live your best life. You must live label free. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, follow, share, all those good things. And I'll be back soon with more dynamic guests.